Okay, welcome back. Dr. Johnson back with you here, number 14 in our series of the hidden power of virtue. And get a load of what I titled this section, Virtue, cleaning up your inner life. How's that? If you sometimes feel broken or wounded, fear not. Everybody does. It's not you. You're not in this alone. We all experience these noxious and self-damaging consequences of brokenness and woundedness. And that's really, pardon me, what we're about today. Feeling broken and wounded is part of being human. We can't escape it. We're going to do it. And of course, brokenness and woundedness all comes from our shadows and our compulsions, which we can never really get out of our system. We can't. All we can do is to learn what they are and to be able then to exert intentionality on them so that we can use our personality intentionally and not some haphazard amalgam of turmoil that we can bring about in our life. So when you say to others or to yourself that someone has hurt you, he hurt me, it's important to note that it's not the other person's action that prompted your negative and self-destructive feelings. He hurt me. Rather, it's how you engage the 6 functions of your personality. And that's what causes the pain, the suffering here. Let's try to get more specific. You can ask yourself these questions. What are my beliefs about the offending person and their action? Believing is the first function of the personality. Number 2, what are my perceptions of the offending person and their action? Number 3, what thoughts about the offending action and this person am I harboring in my heart and my mind? Number 4, what are my feelings that result from the assessment of the offending person that I am making here? Number 5, what are my choices of what I can or should do about this offending person or action? And number 6, what are my actions regarding the offending person and the action? You see, we're pulling all 6 functions of our personality in here. And if we misuse this, if we're letting shadows and compulsions drive the 6 functions of our personality, then we're going to be suffering. There'll be suffering down the line with you. For example, you might feel the sting of doing something wrong or hurtful to another person. You yourself feel this. You feel, I'm calling it the sting here. But while your actions are clearly wrong, as destructive as they may be to the person harmed, this is not the inner brokenness you experience. It's not the action you perform that's giving you the pain. No, what creates the sting of brokenness is the reactive narrative of guilt that you perpetuate in yourself as the emotional consequence of your action. You see, it's the guilt that's coming at you here. It's the guilt that resides in your heart that causes the eventual brokenness. If the guilt is not addressed and somehow resolved, then the guilt will only grow within you. Likewise, if someone else may wrong you in some way, but it's not the act of the personal infraction that wounds you. No, it's your reaction of resentment or anger or revenge or whatever that creates the emotional and existential woundedness that you are. So let's take a look at some of these examples here. First of all, let's take a look at brokenness. Brokenness is your own inner life reactions to experiencing life. Now, these reactions come from inside you. You create them yourself. Your sense of brokenness does not come from the outside. No, it comes from the inside of you. So let's get some specifics here. Have you ever felt the brokenness of frustration? Or the self-inflicted sense of personal failure from not achieving a goal, perhaps, that you wanted to achieve? Other forms of brokenness might include, and I've got a long list here, I'm not going to read them all to you, but I think you'll get the gist, so to speak, of what I'm talking about. Have you ever felt the chronic stress and inner conflict when you hide your shadows and your compulsions? So you do have to deal with your shadows and your compulsions. But if you act as though they didn't exist, then they're controlling you. Have you ever felt the regret from an underlying sense of personal ineffectiveness? Have you ever felt a sense of unworthiness when your original motivation begins to fade? Like, I really wanted this. A week ago I really wanted this goal, but now it doesn't seem to be as important to me. Maybe I did something wrong in the first place. Maybe I don't feel like I can achieve my goals. You hear this unworthiness here? Have you ever felt spiritual darkness of misaligned motives or of skewed self-awareness? Have you ever felt toxic anxiety of self-blaming, blaming yourself? Anxiety. Have you ever felt the heartache of falling short of your hopes and dreams? The disillusionment from loss of enthusiasm? The anguish of self-condemnation? The nostalgic ache of lost joys? The pain of nagging inner meaninglessness? And the list goes on. This is all what I call brokenness. It's coming from, what's the definition? Your own inner life reactions to experiencing life. In other words, you're doing this to yourself. Woundedness, on the other hand, just lost my frame here. Woundedness, on the other hand, look at that. Okay. Woundedness is the noxious inner life consequences of what has been done to you by others, or the demanding circumstances of life itself. Have you ever felt the bleak woundedness of emptiness and loneliness of rejection? Or how about the isolation of anger when you are inaccurately blamed? I think most of us have felt that. That's woundedness, not brokenness. How about these? The disconnection and alienation from abandonment. Somebody abandons you. They reject you. They leave you. And what do you? Disconnection and alienation. Very common. Have you ever felt crestfallen pain from the awful absence of expected affirmation? You do something you really think is pretty good, pretty cool, and you think that other people, who are close to you might give you a little affirmation, but nope, it doesn't come. Well, you can feel a little bit down, or you can feel what I'm calling crestfallen pain. Have you ever felt self-righteous indignation from an undeserved and repeated slights? They had no right to do this. Indignation. How about, have you ever felt resentment and doubt from thwarted opportunities for connectedness? You're really trying to connect with this person. You want to find a relationship. I think we could be pretty good together. We could have fun together, etc., etc. But nope, not going to happen. Resentment and doubt, consequences. How about the angst of self-condemnation from unknown causes? I don't know why I'm feeling this angst, this uncertainty, this anger mixed with sort of powerlessness. How about, have you ever felt the pressure of loneliness, of feeling detached, or the sense of being drained by inner turmoil, or the loss of trust when you think you've been tricked, or the searing rejection from the sense that you're not lovable? Here's something important to keep in mind, I think. Here's another kind of inner heart prayer that you want to keep going and keep in your heart. You are first, you, me, all of us, we are first and foremost spiritual beings having a material human experience on this earth. We are not first and foremost human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. Now, think about that for a while. That's hard to believe. That's hard to get our arms around in a world that is, well, material. Because the world thinks that everything is material. But this whole spiritual realm is something that actually is the thing that's going to provide you with true happiness. All that the world can give is nice, and we can become comfortable, etc., etc. But is it going to give you true happiness? Probably not. Have you allowed this great mystery, this I'm first and foremost a spiritual being, this great mystery to really penetrate into your heart? Have you truly embraced the magnitude then of this statement? You are fully and authentically in the material and fundamental broken world. You are there. But you are not of this world. You are what? You are of God. You are of God, and God is in you. You are a whole creation of God who is called to reflect the wholeness of God right here. This is our primary work here. And one of my prayers in the morning is, oh, that you have blessed me indeed. Why? To expand your universe. I think I've mentioned this to you before. Why am I here? Well, to expand your universe. And that's what gives me true happiness here, is expanding God's universe. I'm trying to find where I am here on my own. The fact that the truth, beauty, and goodness of whatever you see out there in this world, and the world is beautiful still. I'm not saying the world is entirely an ugly place. There's lots of beautiful things God has created for us here. Wonderful things that God has created for us here. But it's not going to give us true happiness in the long run. No. The fact that the truth, beauty, and goodness of virtue does reside within you is proof enough of the unquestioned fact that that God is in you and you are in God. And that is where we start with this whole notion of virtue. Virtue is real, virtue is in you, virtue is powerful, and pursuing virtue in your life will lead to true happiness. Thank you. See you next time. God bless.